Hey guys, we just got off the bus and we're at the Hillsborough River, ready to go.
Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. And back when we were at Canoe Escape, the office, you know, is in a busy location off of Fowler, and now we're in the quietness of wilderness. I'm so excited.
Ready
Let's
to
get
go.
canoeing, right?
Let's go.
Okay, all right, Brittany, have a seat. Okay, put your paddle on the right side, rudder position way back here, like this. We'll push you out. I want you to just turn your paddle out here, and the boat's going to make a right-hand turn. Okay? Okay. Perfect. Wow. That's all there is to it. You switch. There you go. We're out here on the Hillsborough, and this area where we're going to go explore first is a little tributary called Flint Creek. It's one of the few tributaries of the Hillsborough. And normally up in this area we see a lot of wildlife, so it's a great opportunity to go up here and check out a few alligators and birds before we go down to the narrow, twisty part. And they'll go for about 5 minutes, just like crazy, and then all of a sudden, it's like turning the lights, it totally stops all the time. And it gets quiet for about 10 minutes, and then some locals start up, and it starts to go back. The black bird up here on the tree is called an anhinga, and anhingas are a really interesting bird. They're kind of the cousin of another popular bird called the cormorant, but they primarily inhabit fresh water. They don't have much oil in their feathers, so when they get in the water, they get very heavy because their feathers get saturated. And basically what they do is they chase fish under the water into the shallow areas, and they'll spear them with their bill. And then usually when they come out of the water, they're heavy and they can't fly, so they spread out their wings and turn their backs to the sun, and that way the sun will evaporate all the water out of their feathers so they can fly again. So they're kind of a really interesting bird. They're also called snake birds because when you see them in the water, all you see is their really long neck, so it looks like a snake. And some people also call them water turkeys as well, but yeah, anhinga is this bird right here. Alligators, they're very common on the river. I would say that on a typical day, you probably see 30 to 50 alligators, which sometimes makes people nervous if they're not used to them, but in the natural habitat, they really don't want anything to do with people. They usually either just sun where they are. If you get too close and they feel nervous, they'll jump in the water, and that's because they can hide from you. It's not a Tarzan movie. They're not going to come chasing after you or anything like that. But there's a lot of ways you can judge alligators by size when they're in the water like these. Typically, if you look at the eyes to the nostrils, every inch is going to represent roughly a foot in total body length. So some of the gators that we've seen today are probably in the 4 to 5 foot range. Others are in the 8 to 9 foot range. But I would say out here overall that the average size of an alligator is probably somewhere between 4 and 7 feet, probably. Now the preserve that we're paddling in is actually part of Hillsborough County Parks and Recreation. It's called the Wilderness Park, and it's a 16,000 acre preserve that is really important resource because most of the drinking water for the city of Tampa comes from Crystal Springs and flows down the Hillsborough River to where it's collected and then sent out to your local tap. But this entire preserve up here is actually in some pretty serious jeopardy because of the recent announcements of the Hillsborough County budget cuts. Hillsborough County Regional Parks is in jeopardy of losing almost all of their budget, and it's going to leave them in a position in 2011 where they might not have enough staff to keep all these parks open. And so we've got a serious challenge coming up over the next year and a half regarding keeping the parks open. So, if you've been out here and you've recreated before, if you're interested in coming out here and recreating with your family or your friends, you need to, do a little research on what's going on and talk to your county commissioners and write letters and emails regarding the wilderness parks and how important they are to our community, because these access points will be closed off, and you know, there's the potential that we won't be able to recreate out here at all. And that covers Flatwoods Park, Lettuce Lake, all of the Wilderness Park, E.G. Simmons, and a lot of other important recreation areas in Hillsborough County. This bird over here is kind of a funny bird. We call it the Hillsborough River penguin. A long time ago, we had customers that were coming into our shop and were asking us, you know, if we had penguins, and couldn't quite put our finger on it for a long time. And then one day on a guided trip, we got asked the question, and it was this guy right here. This is called a black-crowned night heron, which mainly is a nocturnal bird. You know, you see them sometimes during the daytime, but they're usually resting. Yeah, the funny thing is for a long time we just couldn't figure out what the penguins were all about, you know, because we're in Florida. But after looking at the bird, you can kind of see it looks like a little bit of a tuxedo, I guess. So, yeah, the Hillsborough River penguin was spawned.
All the settings. He was trying to tell me about some of it.
Over here we have a white ibis. It's a juvenile actually. Most of the juveniles are solid brown in color, but as they get close to adulthood they'll get their adult colors, which are white. So you can see that this one is in between, and he's not too far from being an adult bird. The ibises are very common, and in the wintertime it's not unusual to see them literally in thousands along this portion of the river, feeding on all the snails and mussels and things along the river. Alright, come on in.
Just a step back. Yeah.